Today, we're going to play a game here on Speechless, and the fun thing is you guys can play along, too, at home, and I'm going to tell you how on Speechless. Cut for time. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Speechless Cut for Time. I'm your host, Kev Phares, 22-year-old conservative college student out of Central Illinois, host of Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. But I can't necessarily fit everything in on my radio show that I want to, and there are some things that just work better in the visual medium. And so that's what we're going to do here today. And to make sure you don't miss a minute of any of the content I create, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, and comments are going to be important for this one, everybody, and share this video with your friends because I'm sure everybody will have some fun. But we're going to play a game here today. And when I say we, I mean me and my good friend, Cat Peterson. How's it going, Cat?
That's me. Thanks so much for having me on, Cat.
Of course, everybody, you can go check out Cat Peterson on YouTube as well. She does her daily, her Monday through Friday morning show, as well as some different content on the weekends at Cat Peterson 929. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and everything like that. But today, Cat, we're going to play a game. I don't know if you've heard of it before. I know that I gave you a brief rundown before we started recording here today. The game, everybody, is yes or no. It's a Michael Knowles game from the Daily Wire. Michael Knowles, a good Irish Catholic friend. And honestly, Michael Knowles is what inspired the name of the show, Speechless. So, because that's his book. But we're going to play this game called Yes or No. And so how this game works and how you can even play at home is Kat and I are going to go through many different prompts that come up on these little cards here. And then we have to show to the camera or show you guys and guess what we think the other person would say to the prompt. Yes or no. And then if you get it right or you get it wrong, then you get a point. I'll put the ticker at the bottom there. Kev 0, Cat 0, since we haven't started yet.
Wow.
And we're going to make it so we can keep track at home. And I also want to know what you guys think. If any of these prompts stand out to you and you want to tell me exactly what you think, leave it in the comments. If you're surprised by one of my answers or even disagree with me, let me know in the comments. You guys can play along at home. So, Kat, let's get started. We both have a stack of cards in front of us. I'll start with the first one. Okay. And then I'll have you go for the next one. So the first one that we got, straws have one hole. I don't know if you guys can see it, but straws have one hole is the prompt. Straws have one hole. Now we have to say what we think the other person will say. Straws have one hole. So like the things you sip out of.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to go. Okay. Was I right?
No. I would say straws have two holes.
Really?
One at the top, one at the bottom.
Okay, that's also what I would say. That's also what I would say.
Well, I did.
So we were both wrong.
Oh man.
We were both wrong. What do you guys think? Straws, one hole, two holes. I'm trying to think of the argument though for straws having just one hole.
Yeah, because it's like if you look at the straw like this, but nobody looks at a straw like horizontally. If you look at the straw horizontally and like
then it's
just
straight
one
through.
But if you look at the straw as you would typically look at a straw, vertically, because what drink is horizontal? It's just not, right?
Yeah.
Do you do like
I don't know.
You put it in your drink.
Yeah, and so it's got one for it, and then it's got the one on the top. It makes sense to me that it would only have two. Anybody who says it only has one is a Satanist or a leftist, one of the two, or if not both.
I agree.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, Kat. Next card.
Okay. Here we go. I have changed my mind on my major political issue in the last 5 years. I have changed my mind on I have changed my mind on a major political issue in the last 5 years. In the last 5 years. I've changed my mind on a major political issue in the last 5 years.
For you?
Yes.
Okay. I think you absolutely have. You think I haven't?
No.
Have you?
Yes.
Okay.
I 100% have.
Well, that means we got to change the score because you got mine wrong. I have, but I got to know first, what do you think? Or what have you changed your mind on in the last 5 years?
Definitely guns.
Guns?
Yes.
In what way? How so?
So I used to be a big proponent of like universal background checks, things like that. I've always been pro Second Amendment, but I've always kind of been like, oh yeah, let's do background checks. Let's do red flag laws. But in the last 5 years, I've changed my mind greatly on that. Now I'm become further right, I guess.
Yeah.
In that I think that we should start state issuing 18-year-olds guns in high school and then have a senior course where they learn to use the tool. So
wouldn't be totally against that.
Yeah.
But no, I've changed my mind on a lot of different things. I mean, you got to remember, Kat,
Okay.
I'm 22. So 5 years ago, I was 17.
Okay.
Think about how much you changed between 17 and 22. And while by 17, I knew fairly certain I was Republican. Main thing that I was came into Republicanism on was the economy. And that's what I cared a lot about. A lot of other social issues didn't matter that much to me. When it came to gay marriage, go for it, 100%. I don't care. Love is love. Great. I'm slowly becoming more and more not a big fan of gay marriage. When it comes to abortion, I was like, well, I think there should be a cutoff, but I don't really know where that is. And now I'm like, ban it.
Ban it.
Yep. Ban it. Ban it. Abortion is bad. When it came to, oh my God, there were so many different things. I was much more open to a lot more like getting into wars. I was not nearly as anti-war. I was much more pro-business. I used to be much more pro-business, and I'm still pro-capitalism. But I believe big business, especially like big pharma, as well as big tech. Yeah, exactly. I've become much more anti that. Even legalization of marijuana used to be 100% for it. Not for legalization at all anymore. I'm much more for decriminalization. So there's a lot of different.
That's another one I changed on too.
Yeah.
I'm for criminalizing it again and locking people up if they smoke dope.
Yep. I'm not necessarily for that. I'm not for that necessarily. I think we need a
But the reason why I said you haven't changed your mind is because I've seen your Instagram, and I'm sorry, but Kev Phares has been a conservative literally since he's been a child.
That's actually not totally true though. But you're right, kind of. But I'll even go back. I mean, this is longer than 5 years ago. But when I was like 15, 16, or before 16, it was like 14, 15. Transgender stuff was like just coming up, and I will never forget this. This is a real admission to everybody out there. When I was like 14, 15, I was very much like not politically aware, like at all. And I was just like, and somebody asked me, they were like, what do you think about like this trans thing? And I was like, people can do what they want. Like, we should just be nice to people and accept them. And that's how I understand the liberal mentality a lot more, is because that's where a lot of it stems from. Is it's just a certain level of apathy. That turns into, well, we just need to be kind and love and accept, even at all cost, no matter what that cost is. And so that's why, so I have changed my mind a lot, and it's becoming not woke, but more awake.
Yeah.
And so that's really where it came from. But let's get to the next one. Yes or no? There is at least a 20% chance that the moon landing was fake. There's at least a 20% chance that the moon landing was fake. Drum roll. I am almost really.
You don't think or do you think the moon landing was fake?
I think there's at least a 20% chance that there was.
Yes. Okay. There's
and
a
I got mine right.
Chance that it was.
And I got mine right. I take it. You do believe that there's at least there we go. Kev 2, Cat 0, everybody. But let's talk about this one a little bit. So. I knew, because you are one of the people where you're like, not only do I believe there's a chance in conspiracy theories, you're like, yeah, the government 100% lies to us in every single manner. And so, but give me your breakdown. Moon landing was fake.
I don't know.
You say 100% chance. I say at least 20% chance. Let's hear it.
Okay. So the moon landing being fake, in that time period, it was like this weird Cold War thing that we had going on with Russia, where we were like racing with each other to try to get somebody onto the moon. And, now that I've seen all of the propaganda come out about the Ukraine-Russia war, I mean, we blew up the Nord Stream 2 pipelines. Like, come on, folks. And people sit there still to this day, congressmen, politicians, Joe Biden will still to this day, even though he kind of already admitted that they blew up the Nord Stream 2 pipelines, they still say that Russia did it. And it's just like, we have this like, and yes, Russia is terrible. So is China. So is a majority of everybody else on the planet except America. I'm going to be honest. And like, people are terrible in other countries.
There's people in America that are pretty terrible too. So
yes. Well, we're losing our country. But so I wouldn't be shocked that we were doing this thing where we're like, trying to beat Russia, and it was like just one of those things where it was like propaganda and what you mean to tell me that it wouldn't be possible for us to get a backdrop and get it to look like we were on the moon, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just film it like from the White House, just so that way we could be like, yeah, fuck you. Oh,
You could say that. You could say that on YouTube.
yeah, F you, Russia. You know what I mean? Like that is like
No,
that
I
is
totally,
exactly.
and that's part of my rationale for actually believing it's at least, I'm not necessarily at 100% was, but I'm very open-minded to it. And I even go as far as to how they did it, right?
Mhm.
So just a few years after the moon landing, so the moon landing was in like 1963, and it was not much, or was it 73? I think it's 63. Let me Google it real quick, but I'm pretty sure it was 19. Maybe you can Google it while I give because it was not too long after that. And I believe the movie was even in production that Stanley Kubrick made 2001 A Space Odyssey. And if you see the level of effects that we had in 2001 A Space Odyssey, that grainy black and white footage that we had on the moon was more than plausible to be made in a Hollywood basement somewhere, along with the fact that in The Shining, another one of Stanley Kubrick's movies, there is a moment where Danny Torrance, the young boy in The Shining, is riding his tricycle down the hallway, and he has a sweater on that says Apollo 11 and has a spaceship on it. Apollo 11 being, I believe, the spaceship that landed on the moon, if not one of the missions that was meant to go to the moon. Correct me in the comments. I know I don't know all my history on this one, but I off the top of my head, I know that. And so a lot of people take that as an admission that Stanley Kubrick was the one who faked the moon landing. And there's absolutely, and so what we've connected now is not only is there motive, like what you've said, there is also plausibility that you could do it.
Yes.
And to me, that's at least 20% enough to say, because there is at least 20% chance the moon landing was fake. And I believe that's at least 20% chance. When you have both motive and means to do so, that gives me at least a fifth of the way to believe it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. At least a fifth of the way. And the moon landing was July 20th, 1969.
1969.
Allegedly.
Sorry.
Allegedly.
I was thinking, I think I got that one mixed up with.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. The moon landing was in 69. Sorry for my mistake there. Obviously, I was not born then. So,
yeah.
So I don't 100%
You were
know.
close.
Yeah.
You were very close.
Yep.
But
and it was just a few years later. All right, next card. Let's do it. Yes or no?
I support the death penalty.
I think you would be a yes.
Oh, yeah. Big time. Big time, yes.
Cat?
But I hate it when people are like, so you're not pro-life then, bro? And I'm like, no. Stop it with all of that, because that baby did nothing wrong. You forfeit your life once you commit a crime as egregious as, say, sexually molesting or raping a child, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you commit a heinous crime, then you have given up that right to live, because in the Bible, it does explain that if you kill somebody, it's
very Old Testament of you.
It does. It does it. I'm not lying. It does. It says if you kill somebody, the only way to reconcile that is to be killed. So it's that baby did nothing wrong. You have the right to life, but God says you do not have the right to life via His word once you take a life.
No, and I 100% where you're coming from, but you actually got it wrong for me. I don't support the death penalty.
I didn't know that.
And a very small portion of it is because of the pro-life thing. But my other argument for it as well, and this is one I've gone back and forth a lot on, because I do think that there are people that are more than deserving of death. But I'm very much on the side of, I believe that sitting the rest of your life in a prison cell is a much worse punishment than the easy way out.
Yes, and then it gives that person time to come to Jesus. One thing that's like on my Instagram, TikTok feed all of the time are prisoners. I think they know that I'm pro death penalty, and they're like trying to get me to change my mind on it. But there's always these videos of these prisoners, hands in the air, praising God, and they are saved, and then they're baptized. And like, that's awesome. But that doesn't mean that they should be let out.
Yeah.
It also doesn't mean that in scripture, I'd have to pull up the verse, but in scripture, it does say that if you take a life, the only way to reconcile that is by execution,
Mhm.
really, because I mean, think about it. You get out. I mean, how fair is that? Because once you take that life, you've deprived that person's entire family.
No, and I totally understand where you're coming from. One, it's the punishment thing. And then the other thing, and this, I go back and forth a lot because I understand that. And again, I do believe that, like, I understand even in some cases, families want the death penalty for somebody because it's the only way that they feel like they can cope. My
Mhm.
only other reasoning as well is because there have been instances in this country in which, and I don't know the exact number, but I know that it's happened. And even one instance of this is awful, of the wrong person, of somebody who is found innocent later being convicted and then put on death row and then
Mhm.
subsequently executed. And then it's found out after their execution. And I think that is a extreme injustice.
Yeah.
And to me, even a possibility of that
Mhm.
is something that I am very, very against.
Yeah.
So I understand
I
both
would
sides
say
of it.
forensic evidence and an admission of guilt would be my requirements. I know that's a lot, but
Mhm.
like for these Jeffrey Dahmer type
Yeah.
folk who actually admit that they kill people, right, and take great pleasure in it,
Mhm.
you gotta.
Yeah.
I know that's awful. I know it's awful.
But what about, okay, so let's talk about Jeffrey Dahmer real quick, though, because I know we want to get to like one or two more before we end this one out. But talk about Jeffrey Dahmer real quick. So he wasn't given the death penalty. Um,
Yeah, yeah. He
and
stayed, and then he wound up
then he wound up getting killed in prison.
killed.
Maybe he
Yeah.
was given the death penalty. No, I don't believe so. I think he was just given like life in prison.
Mm.
Um, and so he ended up getting killed by a cellmate, or not a cellmate, a prison mate, that had claimed that God told him to do it. But before that, Jeffrey Dahmer was baptized
Mhm.
and also claimed to have found the Lord. Now,
Mhm.
I don't know. Like, I have reason to be skeptical of that, but he was also inspired because John Wayne Gacy, who was at the time being held in Statesville Penitentiary in Illinois, also came to God, at least claims to, was baptized, and then subsequently was executed as well,
Mm.
because he was on death row. But what about that? Like, do you believe that people can be saved even
Oh
after?
yeah, yeah. No,
Do you think they still deserve the death penalty even?
yes,
Okay.
because it's not that because God, it's not salvation that exempts you from that penalty.
Mhm.
Okay, in the Bible it says you kill somebody, you have to be killed. That's the only way to reconcile it. Now, in that period of time, you can be saved. I mean, all it takes is one prayer. Jesus, come into my heart and life for a Christian to be saved, right, and be my Lord and Savior. That's all it takes,
Mhm.
right? And it doesn't. That's the beauty of Christianity because Jesus, he died for all of your sins, no matter how egregious they are. That's the beauty of it. But that doesn't change what God said. Hey, you kill somebody, you have to die.
Mhm.
That's just the way it goes because of that generational. If you kill somebody, if you're a murderer, you kill somebody. Jeffrey Dahmer, he killed lots of people. You deprived that person from generations of families. So the only way that there can truly be justice is if your genealogy and your offspring are also deprived of you.
Mm.
So that's how. So it doesn't matter. It's
Yeah.
not. The preference isn't. Hey, you got to be saved or. And no, if you
No,
kill
I
them,
understand. I
yeah.
was just curious on your thoughts on that. All right, let's get to another one here.
Okay, is it my turn? Oh,
No,
your
it's
turn.
mine. Art should be beautiful. Art should be beautiful. Say what you think the other
Mhm.
person would say. Get the camera there. There you go. All right, did I get mine right?
Yes, you did.
Well, you got yours wrong again, Kat.
Oh, wait, you said art should be
Art
beautiful?
should be beautiful.
You believe art should be
I
beautiful.
do believe art should be beautiful,
Okay.
and you said no. But so the reason why I believe art should be beautiful, is because I think that there's a lot of crap out there that passes for art. And so you got to remember, Kat, too, is I'm a musician,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
And so I believe that's an art. Uh, and you have a lot of people out there that listen to what I believe to be crap music, like mumble rap or things that are just absolutely degrading, whether it's to women or the self or or even God in some ways.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm just like, that's that is absolutely terrible. And honestly, I'm not going to say ban it or anything like that. I do believe in free speech, but people shouldn't, you shouldn't glorify that. Like I always come back to the WAP song, wet ass P word from Cardi B.
I'm
Like
glad you didn't say it. I hate that word.
But that's an absolutely awful song. Art should be beautiful. And then you also have instances of people that literally tape a banana to a canvas and it sells for millions and millions of dollars. I don't consider that to be beautiful. I consider it to be lazy. And if you pay millions of dollars for that, you're enabling laziness. Then you have Hunter Biden, who's the artist. Yep. Oh, and then he sells his stuff for millions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, art should be objectively beautiful. There are objective standards for beauty. And while I understand that there is interpretive art and some people can find beauty in it, it does not make it objectively beautiful. There are objective standards for beauty. And that's why I even go hard on people that are like, well, fat is beautiful. Fat is beautiful. You can find yourself beautiful, or you could find somebody to be beautiful that happens to be fat.
Mm-hmm.
But there is an objective standard of beauty. And then there is a subjective standard of beauty.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in the objective standard of beauty.
Mm-hmm.
That sets a baseline of this is what is beautiful.
Yeah. And well, we're given this like innate, like, oh man, if that, okay, so skunk smells bad. Okay. We smell it and we say, oh, that smells bad. Pumpkin pie smells good. We smell it and we say, that smells good.
Yep.
Okay. So this is nothing different. It's just switching the sensory. So like we're taking it in via sight. It's no different than taking it in via your nose, right? Because the reason why I thought you would have said no was because of the whole like libertarian aspect of it, where, you know, hey, we need to let all ideas get out there.
You think I'm a lot more squishy than I really am.
Yeah, I do. No, you're right there, Kev. Yeah, no, that's that there are objective standards to not only things that smell bad smell good, but also look bad and look great. So there's objective standards. Like you cannot sit there and say, okay, there's some people who will say that, yes, that smells good, the smell of skunks. Some people say that.
Yeah.
But generally there is this standard, this objective standard that skunk does not smell
exactly
good. Okay. Like when I say skunk, what's the first thing you think of? Oh, they smell.
Exactly.
Right? So like
that, or a fart or something like that.
Yeah.
Liberals think their own farts smell good, but
yeah, because they're like anti like objective reality, and they're like, oh no, there's no objective reality.
Yeah.
No, there's objective standards, and we're given those standards.
Everything's a social construct, man. You don't actually have to believe what they tell you, man. Like it's all just like you're living in a world that's controlled by the patriarchy and all that kind of bullshit.
I know. Well, and like, you know, why not shave your armpits? I don't understand that whole thing.
Like that's the other, like, yeah, I feel like it would just like for some people, like certain parts of basic grooming that people decide not to do simply because it's a resistance or something.
Yeah.
I'm just like, why wouldn't, like, I just feel like wouldn't you feel gross?
Yeah.
Like,
I know. It's weird. But yeah, there's objective standards. And I think that we're given those standards to protect us. Right? When something doesn't look great, like let's say a mangled body in a car crash, right?
Yeah.
You're likely going to flee from that, or, you know, a lion ripping the head off of an animal. You're going to flee from that. So we're given this objective sense of what's good and what's bad to protect us.
And then there are things that can come further into the middle, like where you find like when you go back to like the smell one, like like a good amount of people that I know, I'm on a college campus, so the smell of marijuana is rife on a college campus. But if there are some people that find that smell good, and that's where you get to like almost more of a 50-50. I think it's probably still like 60-40. It's not more universal like the skunk one. But you have some people where they're like, I hate the smell of weed, I can't be around it. Then you have some people that are like, I dislike it, but it's tolerable. And then you even get to people that are like, man, that makes me want to light up right now. Those are more your Berkeley type people, but you know what I mean? And so so you have your objective standards, and then you have some things that can become more controversial.
Yeah.
So, all right, last one. Let's go for it.
Okay.
All you.
So here we go.
See if you can get a point on the board.
Porn is demon worship. I think we actually just talked about this the other day.
I think so.
Demon worship. Okay.
This is easy for me. I know you are a yes all the way.
No.
You got the point there. I do not believe porn is demon worship. Does that mean I support it? No.
But you don't think it's demon
but
worship?
I don't believe it's demon worship. We both get a point for that one because.
That was
all right, go into why you believe because I produce everything here, guys, so I have to type this out on the screen. But go into why you believe it's demon worship.
All right, so you'd have to really I really try to protect my mind when it comes to Satan worship. I try not to get into the nitty gritty details of it because I want to protect my brain.
Mm-hmm.
But so in Satanism and in paganism, there's different deities. Okay, so there's actually, I'm going to get into kind of a sidebar, but not really. Okay, so Christmas and Easter are technically pagan holidays. I worship them out knowing that these holidays are crafted by an evil force, the secular version of them. So they're affiliated with two deities in Satanism.
Mm-hmm.
In Easter, it's the god of fertility. I forget her name, but she's the god of fertility. So in like Satanism, paganism, I guess, she promotes sexual being
promiscuity.
Promiscuous.
Yep.
And she promotes that because she wants people to get pregnant. Okay. And then what happens?
Sounds like an Irish Catholic.
9 months later.
Just get pregnant.
In the winter months, you kill them.
Not quite the Irish Catholic thing.
So Christmas, right, is in the winter months. Mate like rabbits. You know what I mean? So they would actually, the pagan deity, or they would sacrifice. They'd get all the bunnies to have sex with each other, and then they'd sacrifice those bunnies, those rabbits, to the god that's a winter god, and he's the god of killing babies and sacrificing children. And it's the antithesis of what we celebrate as Christians on Christmas. We celebrate the birth of Christ. It's very poetic when you think about it, because the entire Satan religion is about sacrificing life. It's about death. And they sacrifice children on this date 9 months after the spring. So the sexual being sexually promiscuous, that's not like a coinkydink that demons and leftists like that kind of stuff, because they want people to get pregnant, and then they want them to get abortions when they get pregnant as a human sacrifice. I know that's crazy, and I know people are like, oh my gosh, how could you tell me this? But look up everything I'm saying. I don't know the names of the Satan deities. I try to keep my brain away from that world. But they truly believe in human sacrifice and the sexual promiscuity, or being sexually promiscuous. That's not just coinkydink.
Yeah.
And what is going to lead to you being sexually promiscuous? Pornography. Trying to get more.
What does the card say again? I just want to be clear on what the card says.
Porn is demon worship.
Pornography is demon worship.
Says porn is demon worship.
Okay.
Yeah, pornography.
Because the way I see it, now again, this is not. I think that porn is a overall negative on society. It has basically turned the minds of many young men into mush. I'll be honest about it here. I mean, I've had my own struggles. If you talk to, I believe it's like 90 to 95% of young men by the age of like 11 to 13 have been exposed to pornography in some way, with a significant number of that also struggling with it in their adolescence. I am no stranger to that. And if any young man tells you that he hasn't struggled with it in some way,
lying.
Well, he's either he's lying or is a demon worshiper. No, I'm just kidding. But the way I see it is one, if it's something that's being struggled with, is it?
I'm not calling you a demon worshiper.
No, I know that. But I think the thing that's difficult for this card for me is because, and I still don't necessarily believe either way that it's demon worship, but it's that it just says porn is demon worship. Does that mean the production of it? Does that mean the viewing of it? Does that mean all of it? Like all of that is encompassed in demon worship? To which I'd say, now, do I think that it's pro-Christian, or that it is something Jesus would want you to take part in, either side of it, the viewing, the self-pleasuring, any of that? No. But that doesn't necessarily mean you are actively worshiping demons. That's the way I see it. I think that while I think it's a lot more mortal than that. I think it has a religious connotation, but I don't think that I think it's a very mortal thing, the entire idea of it, because I mean, even in the Bible, Adam and Eve were nude. The entire idea of sexuality was kind of like in the Garden of Eden, was null and void, because there was no sense of shame. There was no like issue, because they were living in literal paradise. It wasn't until that they committed the sin of eating the apple that they were cast aside, and then we became shameful of our bodies and everything like that. And so to me, it's just such a mortal, it's something that only really matters on the mortal level. I don't know if that really makes sense, but to me, it's bad, but it is not as bad as demon worship. I think that demon worship is something that is much further and has much more religious connotation. Maybe I'll get some hate for that, but
no, I think that there is this spiritual force that allows it to flourish in the way that it does here in the United States. Like it just is. Like, there's no other explanation. Why would human beings promote that kind of stuff? And I just don't think that human beings are that terrible where they would promote pornography in a way like that. I think that Satan understands the biological urge and need for especially men. So I'm glad that you're here, because women, I mean, statistically, there's a lot of women who do. I've just never encountered one who's willing to admit it, right? But the demon, Satan, right, and a supernatural force understands the Bible and God so amazing. Like, he knows everything. God is greater, but he knows a lot, and he knows that God created man to be very much visual creatures. They are very visual, and there's reasons behind all of that, but they're visual creatures. And I think that a supernatural force preys upon men, because what do you do to destroy the earth? Because that's really, he's out to steal, kill, and destroy. He wants to destroy and kill men. And that's that. If you talk to anybody with a porn addiction, they'll tell you that they're dead inside. If it gets really bad, right? So I think it's a tool that the supernatural actually uses against, much like anything else, like booze, right? Or they know that Satan knows you're an addictive creature, and he's going to throw everything at you, and it's just like one of those vices that he just knows will, and it's just but again, it's not necessarily the way I see it. It's not necessarily worship. It's not. I think that's probably, after talking about it, that's where I get, and you're like plugging
and you're
it
just like,
day,
Satan,
yes,
like, highway to hell, let's go. Like,
no. But I do think that consuming it is only going to lead to more sin and more sexual promiscuity, and possibly the sacrifice of your own child via abortion.
Yep. I totally understand that. Well, everybody, we'll play some more, and we'll come out and we'll have some more videos for this, but let me know what you guys think of this in the comments. If you guys want to play this game on your own at home, this is not a sponsor or anything. It's just the fact that I'm a fan. Yes or no, Michael Knowles' game from the Daily Wire. You can go to their shop online. I think you get it for like $40-$50. Great Christmas present, great present for a birthday, anything like that. And it's a lot of fun. Play it with your lefty friends, and I'm sure you'll have a great time. Everybody, God bless you. God bless America. And until next time, this has been Speechless. Cut for time.